Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 39th edition of Alabama Primetime Live from yours truly, Jackson Johnson and Trevion Ware, all right here on Alabama, the voice of college football. We are joined once again by our Georgia guys, the one and only themselves, Matt Green and Bo Underwood, as we'll be going over the nitty-gritty of this 2025 SEC title rematch. And let me tell you something, folks. We are in for a wild ride. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Excellent, man.
Good.
Yeah, doing solid, man.
Oh man, like it's gonna be exciting though. But I will say though, I was gonna mention, Bo. I noticed that you're writing for the Lions, and I know Trevion's a Cowboys fan. I know you two guys, you're gonna be excited about the Cowboys Lions tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going down tomorrow.
Yeah, excited is one way to put it, man. The Lions season is going down the drain, man, with every passing day. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and the Cowboys season looking a little opposite,
Looking pretty good.
At the trade deadlines and pulling off some big wins the last 2 weeks. So we'll see what tomorrow looking like, though.
Oh, George Pickens. I love it.
Here we go. And we've got a little something to celebrate this holiday season. For some, it's already Christmas, so we're going ahead and already celebrating Christmas already, especially with the merch store for Alabama at the Voice College Football, where you got the T-shirt, the tumbler cup, the game day mug, the can cooler, the polo shirt, the sweatshirt, the trucker hat, and the dad hat. We've got it all. We've got it all right here. And you know what? Let's let the Georgia guys promote the Georgia merch store, shall we?
Oh, yeah. To all you Bama fans out there watching, I know you want to buy some Georgia Voice of College Football merch. So why don't you go ahead and log on and do that? We've got some nice coffee mugs, some nice cups, koozies, polos even. So, yeah, no, go ahead and get you some.
Yeah, maybe you want to throw it in the fire or something, disrespect Georgia, but buy the merch.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. I mean, that's the way the news goes. Like, tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers a post about the magic that the Voice College Football merch brings, all right there on vocfb.com/shop. And if you really want some items added, like, say, a Voice of College Football journal, which keeps all your secrets safe, or bring back the Voice College Football Dog Bowl, email voicecollegefootball@gmail.com, and they will definitely see what Christmas miracle they can bring. All righty, so we're going to start this show off with some position battles to watch for in the 2025 edition of the SEC title game, the 34th one since 1992. And I'll start with Matt and Bo, then we'll go with Trevion and myself for this topic.
Yeah, I think the number one position battle that I'm watching has to be Georgia's secondary against Alabama's receivers, because that was the reason they lost the first matchup. It was Georgia ran the ball well. The fact that Georgia dominated on the ground the way they did and still lost the game was really surprising to me. Like, Alabama was fine, right? They were for like 100, 110 yards or something, but it was the 13 of 19 on third down and just Ty Simpson picking Georgia's receivers apart. And I think this secondary has come a long way from the fourth week of the season, whatever that was, fifth week of the season. DeMello Jones, Ellis Robinson have both stepped up down the stretch. I think I'm a lot more confident in this Georgia secondary than I was, 2 months ago or even 1 month ago. But that doesn't mean the memories and the wounds aren't still fresh for what Alabama and Ty Simpson did to him a couple months ago.
Yeah, I'll go on the other side of the ball and say Georgia's offensive line against Alabama's defensive line, because they've got Drew Bobo, their center, out with a foot injury. We don't even know if he's coming back at all this year. But you saw it when he went down in the Georgia Tech game. Georgia was gashing Georgia Tech in the first half on the ground and for like almost 150 yards, and then he comes back out and they can't run the ball at all. The offense is all out of sorts, and they kind of just had to survive that game and hang on with a true freshman there starting at redshirt freshman there starting at center and Malachi Tolliver. So Georgia was really able to dominate on the ground the last time Georgia played Alabama. And I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around without Drew Bobo out there. And so I think that's the number one thing that I would say. And, this week, Alabama, Tim Keenan said as much himself. He said that he thinks that's going to be the biggest mismatch of the game is Alabama's defensive front against Georgia's offensive line. So it'll be really interesting to see if Georgia can run the ball the way that they want to and sustain those drives. And I think it's reasonable to expect them to not have as much success on the ground as they did back in September.
Yeah, from the Alabama perspective of things, it's pretty much the same from what Bo was saying from the battle of the trenches standpoint. And I'm looking more so on the offensive side of things. Alabama is missing their starting tight end Josh Cuevas and Jam Miller. Those two are big key protectors in pass protection for Ty Simpson, which helped him be so successful on third down in Week 4 in Athens. So Alabama is down now. Josh Cuevas and Jam Miller is looking very questionable. Might even be doubtful. I haven't seen the latest injury report, but it's not looking like they're going to have him at full strength. So blocking up front and giving Ty Simpson enough time is going to be key. It's going to be a big position battle that I'm going to be watching for. Most definitely, Georgia didn't get any sacks on Ty Simpson in Week 4, so it's going to be interesting to see how Alabama can can continue to protect Ty Simpson and giving him enough time to find those receivers and take advantage of some of the mismatches that they can present Georgia's secondary. So that's kind of my big position battle too. I don't want to be too boring about it, but I just think that's just going to be a pretty big decider of how Alabama does offensively, especially just in the pass game. Like I said, missing Josh Cuevas, he does a lot in pass protection for Alabama. He's probably pound for pound their most valuable offensive player. So without him being in the fold and having Jeremy Miller being limited or might even be out, I just think that Alabama has to watch how they protect Ty Simpson against Georgia because Georgia they have gotten better since that Week 4 matchup against Alabama at getting to the quarterback. We saw versus Texas they sacked Arch Manning probably I forgot the number of times they sacked him, but they got him to the ground a pretty good amount of times. So that's just going to be key for me for sure.
Yeah, like that Georgia defensive line brought out the genjutsu on Arch Manning a lot 3 weeks back. Like, good grief. It was it was a massacre on the Longhorns offense.
Yeah, Georgia owns Texas. They bring their best for the Texas game defensively. I wish they'd do it when the team in Crimson's on the other side.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and just another key for Alabama, another key will be just their third down defense. They were able to limit Georgia to 2 of 8 on third down in the first matchup, and that was that helps with time of possession and being able to lead the game from start to finish, pretty much. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Alabama is able to get Georgia off the field on third down because we didn't see a lot of Nate Frazier in that game. They kind of went away from him, but he's pretty much proven to be more of a serviceable back since that game. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Alabama can dial up pressure to make Gunner start to make quick decisions, whether it is in the passing game or checking in out of runs and things of that nature. So that's another thing I'm also going to be watching. So Alabama's ability to get off the field on third down. I don't know if I don't does that qualify as a position battle like a or I guess that would be
It's
more
the
so a
game.
key, but yeah, something like yeah.
Well, the position battles I'll definitely be looking out for is offensive line versus defensive line from both teams. Because I want to see how well Georgia's going to be able to protect Gunnar Stockton in the SEC title game. And you want to make sure that the Alabama offensive line is ready to protect Ty Simpson because it's basically going to be a war between both defenses, honestly. And I'm not really expecting this to be a high scoring game, really. I mean, it's just not going to be. It's not going to be low scoring, but it's not going to be high scoring either.
Although, since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, the winner of this game, I think, averages like 33, 34 points a game. Actually, I say the winner of this game. It's Alabama 7 of the 8 times, but Georgia did also score 33, the one they won. So it's kind of interesting. It's rarely actually low scoring for two teams that play such great defense year in, year out.
Yeah, but Alabama has had their struggles in the second half of ball games, particularly against Georgia these last 2 years. They go up big against Georgia in the second half. You know, Georgia makes some type of run to kind of tie the game back in hands and get it back in to one possession ball game. But Alabama has had some struggling scoring in the second half, so that's also just something else that I'm gonna bring up. I hope I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. That's probably like the key to the game, but that's just something I noted on that y'all brought up. So yeah,
Oh, we
seeing
will.
that seeing that Georgia is a 2.5 favorite, so you know, I mean, they've been favorites in the past, but still the same. So
Well, yeah, and you mentioned that we didn't score at all against Georgia in the second half this year in the regular season, like 0 points, like 0 points against Georgia in the second half. Like only one touchdown was scored in the second half. Like
yeah,
good grief.
that's not gonna cut it Saturday. Sure not.
No.
Yeah, I think that's
what
the
was
thing
the
for
score like
Georgia.
11 points. Sorry, go ahead.
Like, I think one of the biggest things for Georgia in this game is just avoiding falling into the hole that they've fallen into these last 2 years. I mean, going down 28-0 in Tuscaloosa last year and then going down 14-0 in Athens this year. And like y'all have been saying, Georgia has pretty much dominated the second half of both of those games. You know, that crazy Ryan Williams touchdown notwithstanding. So I think that's just going to be the key for Georgia is can you get out in front? And you don't have to take a commanding lead. You don't even have to be winning by a whole bunch of points at the first half, first quarter of this game. You just have to not be down by 2 possessions. And Georgia hasn't really been able to play like that against Alabama these last couple of years. They've played catch up pretty much the whole game against Kalen DeBoer. I mean, they were in frantic comeback mode last year in Tuscaloosa. And even this year, they never had a lead in the game. Alabama was leading it the entire time. So I think the big key for them is just avoid a disastrous start and, tread water. And if you can do that, and if you can run the ball and you can open it up with Stockton, I think you feel a whole lot better about not having to play catch up.
Yeah, and that's why that first game was so weird because you don't ever see a game where the team dominates on the ground, but yet the other team dominates the time of possession the way Alabama did. Like was it back-to-back 14 play drives to start the game? Like they had the ball for like half of the first half on those 2 drives. It was, or maybe more. It was like what, 15, 20 minutes of those 2 drives. It was insane.
Yeah, Todd Simpson, he was just unconscious from third down, like you said, 13 of 19. He was just putting on the clinic. I remember in the first half, he went 16 of 24 for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's as good as it could get. But it's just for Alabama, it's really about sustaining that success because, like we said, they've had problems in the second half of ball games putting things together and you know being being a underdog and being on the road and um just with all those factors and stuff, they don't want to play into that hole because I mean Alabama has more to lose than Georgia in this scenario because Georgia is pretty much in the play. I mean Alabama is pretty much in the playoff too from what the committee taught us last night. You know Alabama jumping over Notre Dame, but Georgia. I mean they're at 3 and Alabama's at Alabama's at 9. So Georgia kind of has more room to has more margin for error. But so it really just depends on how Kalen DeBoer can get this group to respond in the second half. Because like we said, that's just been the problem. Like just coming out of the locker room and being able to put up points. The defense does what they need to do. It's offensively like so that's kind of like where I'm at with it. But
I don't want to derail the show, Jax. I know you have a format, but do you guys think Alabama's has a chance to not get in if they lose?
Chavion and I have had a difference of opinion on that. He's worried about Alabama not getting in if they lose. I know Jeffrey has been worried that Alabama won't get in if they lose, but I think Alabama gets in, win or lose. But I say don't push your luck on Saturday.
Yeah, I think they're guaranteed in. I think only Notre Dame can be jumped if BYU lose or wins.
Yeah, I've had a change of opinion since last night, just with the committee moving of Alabama over Notre Dame, and the committee, setting the precedence of not really penalizing the team for losing the conference championship if they were to lose. I mean, it's the style of how they lose. If they lose close or something like that, one possession game or something like that. But I'm told the winner of this game probably gets a first round bye or a home playoff game. So it's a lot at stake. So. Yeah.
Maybe Ty Simpson gets hurt at halftime, and then they're like, "Oh, now they don't have Ty Simpson," and then it's a Jordan Travis situation. I don't know. Maybe just worst case scenario. Like,
if Alabama has to make a quarterback change at halftime in a big game against Georgia, they should be feeling pretty good about that.
Oh, that's fair. That'll be an improvement.
We have quarterbacks. we have quarterbacks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, that's no one wants Ty Simpson to get hurt, of course. But I think they're in regardless, win or lose, personally.
I think the only scenario that they don't get in is if Georgia just blows the doors off of them somehow. And I think that even the most passionate Bulldog fan would tell you that they don't expect that to happen. I think everyone in America expects this to be a one-score game.
Oh yeah, it'll be a one-score game for sure. And before we get to our ad from the boss man, well, the doppelganger, the boss man, we've got Roll Tide K4U giving out a Roll Tide roll and a Roll Tide roll to you too, Roll Tide K4U. But before we start off, who do you go to for college football predictions, gentlemen? Because I think I know a guy. Do you gentlemen know that same guy?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him for sure.
I got a guy.
What about you, Bo?
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yep. I think it's the doppelganger.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
There we go. And that is why you go to Mark Rogers, Steve Dace from the Michigan Podcast and Steve Dace Show, Matt Zemek from USC Primetime Live, Trojans Wire, and College Wire, Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye the Storm and Iowa the Voice of College Football, and Steve Merrill from Wager Talk for those under-the-radar picks of the week. It's like Christmas magic. All righty, so we've got some players to watch for on Alabama, Georgia. And for those who have not seen the Bulldogs all year, who are the guys to watch for besides Gunnar Stockton and Nate Frazier and friends? We'll start with you, Matt.
Oh, Matt. Okay. Oh, Matt, you're muted.
You're muted, Matt.
Sorry, guys. We're amateur hour over here. I'll take the easy one. That's Zachariah Branch, sir. Zachariah Branch. This Georgia offense goes as Zachariah Branch goes. Honestly, whether it's like he's essentially an extension of Georgia's run game. So it's like you see a receiver averaging 10 yards a catch. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, but the fact that you're basically just throwing it to the sideline every time and he's averaging 10 yards a catch, like the dude's just a big play waiting to happen. But even more so than the big plays he makes, it's just the way the opposing defense has to account for him. It's almost like every big play, almost every other guy on the team has made was a play where two guys were looking at Zachariah Branch and then Lawson Lucky's running up the sideline or London Humphrey's running up the sideline. Like it's Zachariah Branch has just been so valuable to Georgia's offense all year.
Yeah, I've got two that I'm kind of deciding between, but I'll go with Ellis Robinson, the fourth, the cornerback for Georgia, who, when we last saw Alabama play Georgia in the month of September, Georgia was coming off a really, really rough game from the secondary against Tennessee. Like, they were busting coverages down the field, pretty much getting picked on, allowed 41 points, allowed a ton of deep plays to Tennessee, especially Chris Braswell. I think he had a hat trick in that game. But since that game, Ellis Robinson, who, is I think he's like the highest rated cornerback prospect of all time, or he's one of them. He has been locked down. He has been targeted since the Alabama game. He's been targeted 18 times, only allowed 8 catches, 0 touchdowns, has 3 interceptions, and he's allowed a passer rating of 17.9, which is the lowest in the SEC and the second lowest in all of Power 4 during that time frame. And I think that's a huge deal that Georgia's secondary has started to come along recently and play a lot better, and I think that starts with Ellis Robinson. And when you're going up against such a talented trio of receivers like Alabama's got, and Williams, Horton, and Bernard, I think the secondary really has to do their job and strap up, especially if they have trouble getting to Ty Simpson. So I think the big difference in this game is going to be how much better Georgia's corners have been playing as of late, and I really think that starts with Ellis Robinson.
Well, from the Alabama side of things, I'm going to stay in that receiver room. And you just mentioned Ryan Williams. You just mentioned Jeremy Bernard. And you mentioned Isaiah Horton. But Alabama's got a fourth receiver, and his name is Latsir Brooks. He's a true freshman. He's a speedy type of receiver that can make defenders miss in open space. He's a reliable receiver on third downs. He can go down the field and make vertical catches and things of that nature. And with Alabama demanding so much coverage from Ryan Williams, from the top 3 receivers they have, Loxer Brooks is a weapon on Alabama's receiving core. They can definitely eat and take advantages of those mismatches for sure. So Loxer Brooks is definitely a name that Georgia fans definitely want to be looking out for sure. Another name I'm going to name is Daniel Hill, running back, big running back that we have. He wasn't really much of a factor in the first game because Alabama had first got the service back of Jam Miller, but now Jam Miller is questionable. And Daniel Hill, he's a big back that's come on late, as of late in the season for Alabama. He's been able to make the most of his opportunities when he's gotten opportunities. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a runner that can run in between the tackles on the outside and make things happen for Alabama. So Daniel Hill, that's definitely a name that Georgia fans want to look out for. He's a little bit raw in pass protection. That's sort of the reason why he doesn't play as much as he should. But he's definitely a player that could be a threat out of the backfield as a runner in a pass catcher, and definitely help Alabama get those tough yards because, like I said, the matchup is going to be up front in the line of scrimmage, and it's really just going to depend on how Alabama is blocking on third downs and things of that nature, so they can have the success that they've had in the past versus Georgia. So Daniel Hill can definitely help in that department. So those are two offensive players. I got two defensive players, but probably just table around the conversation.
Before you change it, I think that's a great call because I think Daniel Hill's been better than Jam Miller. Like every time I see them play, he just seems to make more plays. And I don't want anyone, to pause over here or whatever the kids are saying these days. But the way this dude is built, like I've never seen a dude have such a slim upper body and then have thighs like I don't know, he's built like girly or something. But up top he looks slim. Like it's kind of crazy. He's 6'1", 244, and he's like kind of slim. Like he's I don't know, he's stout, but yeah, he seems like a more dangerous back, more consistent than Jam Miller. I feel like when I'm watching Alabama play, he seems more dangerous.
Yeah, and that's sort of why Alabama likes to get him the ball in space as a pass catcher, because he's big and he's explosive and he can make a lot of those defenders make business decisions, whether it's tackling, running out of bounds, or just playing off him. And like you said, and that's just due to his build, his lower body. He's hard to take down, so that's definitely a factor that on offense that Alabama definitely wants to utilize him in lots of rooks for sure.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see who we're going to be seeing from tight end position, because I mean we're not going to be seeing Josh Cuevas. Obviously, I think we need to either kind of save him for the playoffs, just like kind of let him chill for a bit. I'm hoping we'll see Brody Dalton, honestly, because I want to see what he can bring. Because I've been like bragging about him a lot throughout the offseason, and I am hoping to see him just be that X factor on Saturday on an offensive standpoint. And like you said, Trevion, Lottie Brooks is definitely a guy to watch for on offense.
But another name in that tight end room that fans of Georgia and Alabama can also look out for is a kid named Caleb Edwards. He's a 6'3", big body kind of kid. He has about 2 touchdowns on the year. He's played sparingly. He's made the most when he's had his opportunities. He's a true freshman. He's playing behind 2 seniors, so he's not getting a lot of shine. But he's a player that can definitely make those tough catches, and he can definitely kind of make up for some of Josh Cuevas' loss. You never can make up for a veteran, especially through a true freshman. But in terms of his build and size and pass catching ability and physicalness, he can kind of make up for that. So that's another name that Alabama and Georgia fans can just look out for, Caleb Edwards at the tight end position.
Yeah, if we're going with the deeper cuts here, definitely look in the tight end room for Georgia, because Elias Williams is the next just unicorn they have at the tight end position. Like this dude's 6'6", 6'7", 250. And you've already seen, like, even though Georgia's got a loaded tight end room, you've seen him already get on the field as a true freshman because he's just an insane athlete. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, I think DeMello Jones is the guy who's really like becoming a fan favorite, and like him getting into Georgia's starting lineup, or at least playing like starter reps. That's really what's taken Georgia's secondary to the next level.
Yeah. And DeMello Jones was pretty much a non-factor in the Alabama game. I mean, he didn't really get in the game much at all. And since then he's emerged as one of the most physical cornerbacks in the entire SEC. Another guy that I want to talk about is Gabe Harris on Georgia's defensive line at the edge rusher. That's a guy who has been playing the best ball of his career over the last month or so, because as much has been made about Georgia's lack of a pass rush this year, and for good reason. They've had some high-profile games where they couldn't get home at all. Alabama's probably the biggest example of that. They've got 9 sacks in their last 4 games. I mean, they sacked Arch Manning 3 times. Like, I'm not saying that Georgia's pass rush is all the way back and it's back to the level that it was when they had Mykel Williams and Jalen Walker and what have you coming off the line, but they have been a lot better. And I think Gabe Harris is probably, his improvement and his uptick in play has been the major reason for that. He has been a good run defender just about the entire year, but Georgia's had a lot more success this year lately with bringing 4 guys, sending their regular pass rush, and creating pressure that way. So I would watch out for number 0 on the defensive line as probably, if he has a good game, I think that could be the single biggest difference on Alabama's offense that they didn't see last time. Is, last game, I think the most noticeable thing about Alabama's offense was Ty Simpson had so much time to throw. I mean, he could drop back, give that ball a couple love taps, make a sandwich in the pocket, and then throw the ball. And if he's not able to do that, I think it will be because Georgia's had a lot of success with getting home with 4 guys, because they were really relying on blitzes a lot in the last game against Alabama. And Alabama did a great job of picking them up. And without Cuevas there and without Jan Miller there, those are 2 guys that really help out in pass protection. I think it'll be pretty interesting. And I think Georgia's pass rush is getting written off a lot by the national media as a non-factor. But they've been playing a lot better lately, and I think that they're going to make an impact.
Yeah, and speaking of dudes that can make an impact for Alabama, a dude that's been making an impact certainly in the second half of the season is a dude named Yonze Pierre. Yonze Pierre has been Alabama's best sack artist in the second half of the season. I believe he's tallied 7 sacks in the last 9 games, I believe. So he's come on strong in the second half of the season. And the game that he started to come on strong was post the Georgia game, because Alabama lost their starting Wolf linebacker Quay Rousseau in that game to a broken foot. Now Quay Rousseau has also made his return, so now Alabama can kind of combo that tandem together up front and make those 2 players, factors in the getting to the quarterback. So 2 players I want to name for sure is Yonze Pierre and Quay Rousseau. And just in Alabama's defensive secondary, a player I want to name that's been playing some of his best ball in the second half of the season as well is Red Morgan. Red Morgan, he plays the Husky position for Alabama, and he does a lot of the coming up he does a lot of coming up and tackling and being physical and just doing some of those things that a nickel defensive back does. And he's kind of a player that can give Alabama that spark. Him and Bray Hubbard. Those are 2 players for sure that give Alabama that spark that Georgia fans definitely want to look out for. Because they can kind of wreck the game in the secondary and help some of those Alabama pass rushers get home up front. Like you said, just make things harder on Stockton and kind of make him want to beat. You want to kind of make him beat you with his arm, because in the first game we saw he didn't have he ran the ball, but he didn't have he didn't go crazy on the ground or nothing like that. So you kind of want to make him beat you with his arm, because Georgia had their chances in that game, because I remember they tried to throw it to Humphreys. He had that drop over the middle, kind of similar to how Ryan Williams had it. So to stop some of those things from happening, Quay Rousseau and Yonze Pierre can definitely get home, and Red Morgan and Bray Hubbard can definitely lock up things on the back end to help those 2 get home. So hopefully that makes sense. But those are 4 players on Alabama's defense that can that'll definitely be players to watch out for on Saturday.
Just so that London Humphrey isn't getting any strays here, it was Taylor Taylor who dropped that wide open touchdown pass early fourth quarter. But yeah, that was brutal. That's one of the reasons I think we're kind of. I don't think Georgia fans ever confident when you're playing Alabama, but you're kind of like, if that game was played the exact same way, Georgia has a chance to get a 4th down in the fourth quarter, or has a guy running wide open down the middle in the fourth quarter to take the lead. It's like Georgia had the plays to win, had the plays there to win the game a couple months ago, and it's like if they do the same thing, they would like their chances again. But hopefully they don't give up 3rd and 19 on 3rd down. But that's a whole other story.
Well, and some guys to look out for on defense as well for Alabama are Justin Jefferson and Dijon Lee. I mean, they've been rocking and rolling throughout this season. Deontay Lawson's another one to look out for. Bray Hubbard's definitely got to look out for. I mean, like when you get all these guys in a room together, and you got Yahtzee Pierre, and you got Xavier Brown, you got all of them. It's gonna be a nightmare for offenses going up against that Bama defense.
I think Bray Hubbard is probably the single biggest key for Alabama in this game defensively because of how much Georgia likes to go with 12 personnel with Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky. Alabama's been really good this year at stopping 12 personnel with Bray Hubbard dropping down into the box as a run defender and as some, kind of a rover robber in the middle. And they're going to really have to nut up against Georgia's 12 personnel because Georgia loves to just show you that the whole game and run the ball, and then, pull it and go play action. And they can do that because their tight ends are athletic freaks. So Hubbard is probably as good as anybody as kind of a weapon to defend against that. And he had a really good game against Georgia last time around. He's one of the better box safeties in the whole SEC. And so I think a big game from him is going to be paramount if they want to stop Georgia's offensive MO.
Yeah, and also Jackson brought up the kid Dijon Lee. That's a true freshman cornerback that Alabama's been kind of going with on the second half of the season. He's also going to have to hold his own, just coming up and making tackles. He's done a pretty good job of that since he's been promoted as a starter now. But Dijon Lee, that's definitely a player like Jackson said, definitely want to watch out for. He's going to be on his own one-on-one outside on the island. So, when Georgia does take their chances going deep, I like our chances with Dijon Lee, but that's true freshman cornerback in that moment. It's really just have to see what he's made of. But he should be coming up. He should be up to the task. But that's a player that definitely want to look out for just because he's just so young and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's gonna be a wild ride to see what happens with all these guys. See what they bring to the table on Saturday. I mean, they're gonna bring a lot of magic. I'm hoping that Connor Talty will have a good kicking game on Saturday. That'll be good to see. Like, it just cross my fingers for a good kicking
I'm
game.
sure he will. Honestly,
He'll be
this guy's been
fine.
terrible. This guy's been terrible all year. And he'll make all his kicks versus Georgia. I'm sure.
With the game being a 2.5 point spread, Georgia being favored, Alabama's definitely going to need them to be good, especially in those critical spots. So.
Oh, for sure, man. That is for sure. But we'd like for you to check out Amazon, as we've got some magic on Amazon. From the Voice College Football account. Let's see. I've got the. Hold on. This thing just won't act good with me today, will it? Oh, there we go. There you go. Shop on Amazon using the link to support the Voice College Football. You don't need to buy the product display. It doesn't cost you a penny, and you get the same shopping experience. You want to make sure you use that link in the description section of all the Voice College Football videos. You get the same shopping experience. Doesn't cost you a penny. And, you're shopping on there for Christmas anyway. You're going to find some magic on there anyway. So that's just how it rolls. Well, we've got some keys to victories to look out for in the 2025 SEC title game. And like I said, it won't be high scoring, but it won't be low scoring either. But what are the keys to victory for both teams? And we'll start with our Georgia guys.
Yeah, I'll take this one first. Well, I think the defining just statistic or what have you from the last Georgia-Alabama game is the fact that Alabama converted 13 of 19 third downs. Not only is that an absurd amount or an absurd percentage of third downs to convert against a Kirby Smart defense, it's a pretty absurd amount of third downs to face in general. I mean, 19 third downs. And I think that that's just because Alabama can't really run the ball that well. They averaged 3 yards to carry against Georgia last game. And with Jan Miller out, I don't know if Alabama's running game is just going to magically improve, especially against the Georgia defense that's allowing the 6th fewest rushing yards per game in the country. So I think that Alabama, once again, is going to be playing from behind the sticks for a lot of this game. The difference to me is going to have to be with Georgia's defense having played better lately, with the pass rush having shown a little bit of signs of life. Again, I don't think it's an elite pass rush. I don't even think it's a very good one, but I don't think that it's the glaring, just horrible season tanking weakness that I kind of thought it was going to be around October, November even. And the secondary's played a lot better too. So I kind of think that Alabama's absurd third down efficiency with how straight up bad I think Ty Simpson's been playing lately, I think we're due for some sort of regression there. I just think that it's natural to expect that, law of averages, regression to the mean, whatever word you want to throw at it. So I think Georgia getting off the field on third downs and being able to stop some of these, 14-play, 7-minute drives is going to be the key to the game. And I think that they can do that. I don't think there's any way that a Georgia team led by Kirby Smart is going to allow this team to go 13 of 19 on third down again. And you can call me a Georgia fan and a biased fan for saying that I think that they're still going to be behind the sticks because they can't run the ball. I kind of think that they will still be behind the sticks. They might not face 19 third downs again, but I also don't think they're going to convert that high of a percentage of them again. And Alabama not being able to sustain those drives, Georgia being able to get off the field is going to go a long way. So I think it starts there. It starts with the money down.
Yeah, and just to add on to Bo's point, that play, the little bootleg where the back leaks out that Alabama just killed Georgia on multiple times. Not only has Georgia now started using that play like multiple times this season, but you saw Auburn. I don't know how many times Auburn just kind of blew that play up. And so maybe that's another adjustment that Georgia's defense is able to make. Surely that something's better than 13 of 19. But I guess my key to the game is someone we haven't really talked about much at all so far tonight is Gunnar Stockton, because the Alabama game was not one of his better games. And this is a guy who's, played like a Heisman candidate in most of the big games this year. You look at Tennessee, the Ole Miss game, the Texas game, like this guy balled out in all of those games. And I don't think he made a lot of plays in that Alabama game. And maybe, they did rush for 200 yards. So, maybe it was a different approach because you're running the ball so well. But I think Gunnar Stockton is just going to, he's got to make more play. And obviously Taylor can catch that 50-yard bomb. His stats look a little bit better, but I think Gunnar Stockton's really come into his own and he's really improved since the 4th game of the season. So I think Gunnar Stockton's going to play a huge role. Also the turnover battle. I didn't go back and look at the Georgia Alabama history of the turnover battle, but it seems like Georgia has a costly turnover in every single one of these games at some point, whether it's the handoff to Dylan Bell in the SEC championship a couple years ago where they fumbled it. The Carson Beck, the second half turnover. There was plenty of turnovers in the 2024 game, right? At least 4, 3 picks and a fumble.
Yeah.
And then the 2024 or not 2024, the game earlier this season, Georgia loses by 3 on the Nate Frazier fumble at your own 10-yard line, and Georgia's defense actually held up and gave up a field goal, but he gave up a field goal on a 1-yard drive essentially that was just set up by a fumble. And like you said earlier, Travion, Nate Frazier wasn't really a factor in this game earlier this season, and Chauncey Bowens did have his best game of the whole season, but Nate Frazier was kind of in the doghouse because fumbling was his issue a year ago, and then he starts this season with a big fumble. So to my knowledge, he hasn't fumbled since then. And he's kind of, Chauncey Bowens was hot. He had a hot hand at some point in the season, but Nate Frazier has definitely established himself as the lead back in this group. So if Georgia cannot lose the turnover battle, and I think in Power 5 matchups, Georgia is -1 and Alabama's +6. So Georgia really can't afford to just shoot themselves in the foot like they did in the matchup earlier this season.
Yeah, for Alabama, being the road team, going on the road and things of that nature, they have to start fast because, as I've stated, in the second half of the season, they haven't been able to start fast, and that's been reasons why, in certain games they haven't looked as good. You saw, after the Georgia game, they struggled against South Carolina. They struggled against Oklahoma. They struggled against. I mean, they jumped out to a pretty big lead versus Auburn, but things of that nature, they just haven't been able to start fast on most occasions, and I believe that's going to be key. Especially considering the last two matchups, that's kind of been their mo versus Georgia. Coming out and start and going up multiple possessions or at least a possession. So offensively, Ty Simpson, a key for Alabama. I'm looking to see if they're gonna be able to keep him upright. Because uh, last game they weren't able to keep him upright, and we started seeing the we started seeing Alabama miss Josh Cuevas more than ever because Auburn was able to get home and sack Ty Simpson 4 times, and like you stated, Georgia's pass rush has gotten even better, and they were able to take down Arch Manning and Hayes King the last 2 weeks at a pretty decent amount. So key to the game, just starting fast and protecting up front. Like I said, pass pro is going to be key. Missing Miller and Josh Cuevas, and also connecting on the deep ball. Alabama has struggled to, connect on the deep ball. In the second half of the season. I don't know if that's due to drops. Ryan Williams hasn't been as sure-handed as we needed him to. We've had just some misses with Ty Simpson, and that's been due to pressure. He isn't able to be his normal accurate self because he's kind of sped up and things of that nature. So Alabama is going to want to keep Ty Simpson on time by protecting him, and also on the defensive side of things, like you said before, Zachariah Branch, keeping him under control, that's going to be key because Alabama was susceptible to giving up some explosives last week versus Auburn. They gave up two explosives to forgot the receiver's name. I think his name was Malcolm Smith, and he's kind of the same type of receiver of like in terms of speed and stuff like that. He's kind of the same type of receiver as Zachariah Branch. Obviously, Zachariah Branch more talented, more faster, but that adds to my point. Limiting Zachariah Branch is key. So they have some injuries in that secondary. They're starting they're starting nickelback Deshaun Deshaun Jones has he got a broken hand, so that's why Red Morgan has been playing more. So you want to limit Zachariah Branch and just put the game really on Gunner Stockton. Make him beat you with his arm. That's something I would like to see. Just make him beat you with his arm, not uh, you know, like you said, Georgia plays a lot of 12 personnel and they show it. So make him connect on those looks. So if that makes sense, but yeah, those I don't know if I'm rambling all over the place, but yeah, those are kind of my keys. Yeah.
Oh, it's all good, man. No worries. Yeah, I think we got to make sure our running game is good enough. We need to make sure that Daniel Hill and Ackland Deer are looking good on Saturday. And we got to make sure we're protecting Ty Simpson. Make sure he has a good game of at least 200 passing yards or more on Saturday. We have to make sure of that.
No, I think he needs to have at least 250 to 270, and a player that can help out with that is Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams has been quiet. He was quiet in the Auburn game last week. He's coming off a game with no target, so I expect Alabama to want to get him more involved, especially in a game like this, game of this magnitude. Want to get him more involved. So hoping that we could see some things from Ryan Williams for sure. So, but yeah, just to add to your point, steady dose of the running game would definitely help Ty Simpson, be more efficient in the pass game, so Alabama is not one dimensional.
I agree. Like we definitely have to make sure Simpson's having a good game. We need to put a ton of pressure on Gunner Stockton. Like our defense has to get rolling on that, and you gotta make sure you're putting a stop to Nate Frazier. Put Georgia in a bunch of 3rd and long situations. Do that, you're good to go.
Yeah, I think the Stockton thing is interesting because I have no idea what to expect from a pass protection standpoint with Malachi Tolliver in there at center because the offense just looks so different after Drew Bobo went out. But also, like, losing your center in the middle of the game is going to derail the offense. And I think I'm not saying that Malachi Tolliver is going to come in and be a 1-for-1 replacement, but it's different when you've had a whole week of repping with that quarterback and getting the first team snaps. Like you're going to play better than you did when you're in there in a pinch against even against a terrible Georgia Tech defense. But so it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to protect Gunner Stockton well. I'd be willing to bet the protection will not be as good as it was against Texas or against Mississippi State or just the last month or so because Georgia's offensive line was healthy. It was healthy for the last few games of the regular season, and now, unfortunately, they've got Drew Bobo out, who was the one guy that wasn't injured the whole first half of the year. But anyway, the thing about Stockton that I wanted to bring up is that the Alabama game was his second ever SEC start, and he only threw 20 passes. That's the least amount of passes he's thrown in a game all season. They were very much not trying to put too much on his plate and not trying to overwhelm him in his second ever game against the big bad Crimson Tide. But now that 2 months and change have passed since that game, and Gunnar Stockton has shown that he can go out there and really play super well in these big games. I mean, that Ole Miss game was a revelation to me. The fact that they constantly kept getting score on and it kept falling on Gunnar Stockton to go out there and beat them with his arm, and he did it consistently against a playoff team. You can say one thing about the Tennessee game. You can say, well, that's Tennessee. That's a bad defense. But he did it against Ole Miss too. So I think there's going to be a completely different approach in how Mike Bobo calls this game because I think he knows what he has in Stockton now more so than he did the last time that these two teams met. So I expect him to be more aggressive with Stockton. I expect him to throw a lot more than 20 passes in this game. I think they're going to really let it rip, and that will be something that we just didn't really see as much in the last game. You know, the one deep shot they took was a dime that got dropped, and that probably would have been a touchdown that won them the game. So I think we're going to see a different Gunnar Stockton. I know that he's coming off of a very poor showing against Georgia Tech. He threw for 70 yards. He threw a bad pick at the beginning and never really shook it off. But I'd be willing to believe that that's not going to be the version of him that shows up on Saturday. I think this is going to have to be a big Gunnar Stockton game, and I think that he's capable of having one.
Yeah, I also think Texas's defense is better than Ole Miss's as well.
Yeah, and with Drew Bobo being out for Georgia, it's going to be interesting just to see how much pressure Tim Keenan can really get on to kind of collapse the middle of that Georgia offensive line. The first game versus Georgia, that was his first game back from tight rope ankle surgery. He missed the first 4 weeks of the season. And he's senior defensive lineman, kind of the heart and soul of the Alabama defense up front. So, with Drew Bobo being out, that should be grounds for Tim Keenan and Alabama's defensive line to kind of take advantage and kind of get to Gunner Stockton. So it'll be interesting to see how Georgia can kind of mask up front and because both teams are kind of having some pass protection issues. Alabama is missing some stuff up front, but like I said, that just goes back to the battle in the trenches. But it'll be interesting to see how both sides kind of mask up their deficiencies up front to try to overcome those shortcomings.
Yeah, and as ugly as Georgia's offense was, as painful as that was to watch last week versus Tech, I was encouraged by one of the better defensive performances Georgia's had all season. Like Haynes King was a legit Heisman candidate, just putting up stupid numbers every week. and you hold that team without a touchdown to 9 points over 4 quarters. I think he had like 30 yards rushing or something. That was a big time performance.
Yeah, and just lastly, from an Alabama standpoint, Ryan Grubb, we saw in the Auburn game, he's kind of been letting Ty Simpson, get more agile with his legs and kind of create more rollout scenarios for him and stuff like that, or where he can just take advantage and pick up for extra yardage. So that's something. I mean, we saw that in the first game. He rushed for a touchdown, but it's kind of been more ramped up over the second half of the season. So the elusiveness and the athletic ability of Ty Simpson going to be interesting to see how he can just with, like I said, being banged up front, not having a tight end tight end and a running back. It'll be interesting to see how he can kind of elude some of that pass rush, because like I said, Georgia has gotten better getting to the quarterback. So
I tried to tell you, Bo. Ty Simpson's athletic, man. Everyone knows.
I don't think
Bo tried to tell me Ty Simpson can't move.
I think
Sneaky athletic.
Slow. He moves weird. He moves clunky. I don't think
clumsy
he's
for sure.
I
don't know. He's quick,
got
man. He's
footwork
nimble.
issues. He drifts back in the pocket too often. He throws off base. He misses easy throws. It's been a bad month of football from Ty Simpson. I mean, for a guy that was like, yeah, they crowned him the Heisman after they beat Georgia, and he hasn't looked close to that lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, our quarterbacks have tailed off since the Georgia game. We saw that with Jalen Milroe last year. But Ty Simpson, I definitely think seeing his defense twice again. I mean, like I said, Kirby Smart always going to add a different wrinkle inside. But I'm expecting Ty Simpson to get back to his normal self, because a lot of his struggles has also just come from just the receiving core not being on track, whether that's Ryan Williams not being whatever his issue has been, or just the inconsistencies with injuries and stuff like that. But I just expect a better showing from him on Saturday for sure.
And lastly, to conclude this show, we will be going with the score predictions for the 2025 SEC title game.
I can go first.
All right.
Trayvon's
nervous, man. He's like, oh no.
I think the story of the last game, in addition to the third down craziness, hyper efficiency from Alabama, was how many self-inflicted wounds Georgia had throughout that game. Whether it's the Nate Frazier fumble, the Talon Taylor drop, the Cash Jones 4th and 1 disaster that just didn't have a chance in heck. All of those things just compounded. All of those missed opportunities ultimately end up costing you a game against a good team like Alabama. And, that's how football is. It's a couple plays that often make the difference. And maybe Georgia just has a mental block against Alabama that they don't have against other teams. And maybe they are just more prone to those types of errors against the Tide than they are against anybody else. But I think Georgia getting this team twice again in the same season, I don't expect them to shoot themselves in the foot that same way. And their defense, it's a young defense, but we knew how talented it was going into the year. They have really grown up quickly. I mean, Kirby Smart has been saying all week how much more mature, how much more confident this defense has started to become. And I think that shows. I mean, they had some really great performances against Texas and Georgia Tech. And I think that's a huge deal. Even the second half against Ole Miss, I mean, that fourth quarter performance they put on against Ole Miss was really something. So with the pass rush starting to come along a little bit better, the secondary starting to look a little bit better, I think they're going to be able to affect Ty Simpson just enough. I don't think they're going to have him on the ground all game. I think he's still going to have a lot of time to throw for the most part, but just not as much as he did last game. And I think Alabama's due for some regression in the third down department. And even with Georgia not having Bobo out there, that's going to be a huge loss, and they're probably not going to be able to go for 200 yards on the ground. But I think if they can get to 130, 140, if they can just sustain a few drives and avoid falling down by a few possessions early, I feel pretty good about Georgia's chances to win this game. So I think it'll be a close one. It always is when these two teams play. There's so much talent on both sides of the ball. I'm going to be there personally. Me and my dad are going. I'm really excited about that. And so I'm going to go. I said the same score with Matt on Monday on our show, and I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to say 24-20 Georgia. Kirby Smart improves to 2-7 all times against the Tide. What a great record.
Yeah, I'm glad you're going to be there. That's good stuff. I just look at this game, and Travion, you kind of referenced it with Jalen Milroe. I pushed back on the whole narrative of Alabama just being the boogeyman of Georgia and Georgia having a mental issue about Alabama. It's like they're like a dynasty, like the best program in the country. Like, yeah, you're gonna lose to them sometimes. Like they're like the best team around. They're beating a lot of teams, you know. And then Kalen DeBoer beat Georgia one time. It's like, okay, now it's not just Nick Saban. And then Kalen DeBoer beat Georgia a second time, and now I'm like, okay, maybe it is just like a Bama thing, because I feel this is a safe space. It's also the past. Jalen Milroe, I bashed Jalen Milroe so hard, man. I was just like, this dude's garbage. He can't play, whatever. And then he goes out and looks like the best player in college football against Georgia. And I'm like, okay, I was wrong about everything. And then he proceeds to have the exact type of season I expect him to have after the Georgia game. It was the weirdest thing ever. Same with Ty Simpson. Looked like the best quarterback in college football the first time these teams played. And you've watched this Alabama offense for the last month or so, and they just haven't had much of a rhythm. Like it hasn't looked great. They've just kind of found ways to win, although they did lose a couple of times, or I guess one time down the stretch. But I don't know. I look at these teams on paper. Alabama scored 30 points twice in conference play. Georgia's done it 5 times. Like just on paper, like this Georgia offense Georgia's defense is allowing under 100 yards, 96 yards a game in Power 5 matchups, Power 4 matchups. Alabama's given up 138 a game on the ground in Power 4 matchups. So I just look at this game on paper. Other than the turnover differential, it just looks like Georgia's the better team. But I don't know. I felt like that multiple times when it comes to Georgia, Alabama. So I think the biggest thing I'm going to base it off of is Kirby Smart is 3-0 in SEC championship rematches. Auburn 27, I guess it was national championship. 3 matches in general. Auburn in 2017, Alabama 2021, and then Texas in 2024. So fact that give me another win for Kirby Smart in a rematch. He's 4-0 in rematches. We're going to focus on that number more than the 2-7 Bo like to focus on. I think this is the same score I picked on our show earlier this week. Like I said, I think it takes 30 points to win this game. I'm going to take Georgia 31-24.
Okay. So we got 2 Georgias. So obviously I'm going to go to the Alabama route. Alabama having that psychological barrier. I believe that's a real thing. Them being able to pull out 9 of the last 11. What is it? 9 of the last 10 almost. Things. What is it?
If you want to go back to Mark Richt, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Alabama just gets it done playing complementary football. As you guys stated, this Alabama offense hasn't looked the same since the first half of that game where they would seem to be clicking on all cylinders. So I believe the defense is able to force Gunnar Stockton into some type of turnover. I don't know what it's gonna be, but Kane Warmack has a knack for getting his defenses to create turnovers, and I believe that's what's gonna help Alabama. Help Alabama. Cover cover the spread, because, like I said, they are 2.5 point underdogs. So, and I also think just Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's gonna make a play here or there. I'm not saying he's gonna just have a perfect game or just a great game or nothing like that, but Ty Simpson always seems to make a play here or there and gather himself and really just be able to pull Alabama offenses out of trouble, because he's done this versus South Carolina. He's done this versus he's done this just down the stretch versus Vanderbilt. Just all these different teams he played. So I believe Todd Simpson's gonna make a play to help put Alabama on top, and our defense is going to help turn Gunner Stockton over and keep Alabama in range. So my score, I'm probably gonna go with 33-30. Alabama wins 33-30. Kellen DeBoer in Alabama they move up to the third seed and get the home bye, and yeah, and that's just how it is. Bulldogs can't beat Alabama. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but
You're not wrong.
going on.
They did get the one. They did get the one.
And
We got a natty for it.
I'm just going off what
man.
history says. So, like, I believe Kellen DeBoer and company gonna get it done once again. It's gonna be a team effort. So, complimentary football gets it done, and Alabama wins 33-30.
I think Alabama is going to win this one 28-24 against Georgia. I think it's going to be a tight one. And, you're not going to see a lot of high scoring, but you're not going to see a lot of low scoring either. It's just basically going to be Christmas time in the SEC title game between both these squads.
should be a good one, man.
Oh, well.
Yeah, definitely gonna be the most viewed game of all games on this weekend, and everybody gonna say it's SEC bias. It's literally so.
Oh, man. All I know is when watching the SEC title game, I've already got that Christmas time and Hollis song stuck in my head. I heard it from the NBA on ESPN promo the other day when I was watching some Sports Center. So I was like, yep, cue that music.
There you go. But yeah, to your point, Travion, there's never been a year where the SEC, where it wasn't just obvious how much better the SEC is than every other conference. Like the Big Ten's been borderline unwatchable this year. Like it's like 3 good teams and then a bunch of mediocrity. What USC give them like a third, 3.5 good teams. Like I don't know. Like the SEC's been so deep this year. Like this is the game everyone's watching. Number 1 and number 2 and cool in the Big Ten. Like Georgia, Alabama is what everyone's gonna watch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my IT guy was just texting me. He says it's going to be 34-27 Alabama, but we can only hope it'll be that high scoring. But yeah, it'll be a fun ride. It's going to be another exciting chapter of the Alabama-Georgia matchup. It's going to be a wild ride on Saturday, but it's like we talked about. Alabama's in either way, but don't push your luck. Come in, give your 100% against Georgia.
Yeah, I definitely think it's gonna be a nail biter. The game to go well into the fourth quarter. And maybe the team who has the ball probably wins, or maybe we see a defensive stop or something like that. But it definitely should go down to the fourth quarter. Two well coached teams. I'm definitely expecting to see another classic between the two for sure.
Well, all righty, man. That concludes the score predictions video of Alabama, Georgia in the 2025 SEC title game. All right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video clip whatsoever. And that's the end of the fourth wall break on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And before we sign off here tonight, Bo, Matt, what magic are you guys cooking this week? Let's start with you, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, we went live on Monday and talked about the game. You can find the clips from that. They're being uploaded on our channel throughout the week. Even if you're an Alabama fan, I think you would enjoy the conversation. We're not on there bashing the Tide. We try to be pretty rational about the way that we talk about things. Me personally, I write for Dawn of the Dog, which is the fan-sided Georgia football blog. I write there's have a couple things going up there this week about this game, breaking down the matchup. If you're interested in reading about the Detroit Lions, I also write there. And aside from that, yeah, we've got some videos on our YouTube channel about some random stuff that I made. History of Georgia's alternate uniforms. I made a video about Jamie Newman and JT Daniels, if you remember those guys. Rumor has it I might be working on a video about Mike Bobo because I know that's everybody's favorite Georgia guy to discuss.
He's a
So,
turd.
yeah, we have a good time on our channel. We like to talk about football. We love to talk about the SEC, and I think we're all just looking forward to a good game this weekend.
Well, I will say though, I couldn't help but make that little snarky comment about Mike Bobo being a turd because he is just not good at his job sometimes. But
Yeah, you put
that's
some
our,
respect on Mike
Yeah,
Bobo's
come on,
name.
man. Hey, Mike Bobo is the most overhated football coach in the whole dang country. That guy's entitled
Absolutely.
to the Broyles Award this year, and for good reason. Mike Bobo is a good coach. You're gonna see on Saturday.
all righty.
Georgia's offense has been carrying Georgia most of the season. Yeah, give Mike Bobo his credit. But yeah, I don't have as much to plug as Bo over there, but we'll be doing an instant reaction. Maybe not instantly since Bo will have to get through that Atlanta traffic. But we'll be coming to you at some point Saturday night, Sunday morning to give our as instant as possible reaction to this game.
Well, Matt, my guy, you also bring a lot of magic anytime you come on the Chase Thomas podcast, along with Georgia Bulldogs Live on Georgia at the Voice College Football.
That's true. I'm doing some things that everyone can appreciate. I think that's tuning in as I'm going toe to toe with a Tennessee guy week in and week out. So I have to bring the red and black to those Tennessee listeners.
Oh man, it's like an SEC version of Mark going on the Michigan podcast with Steve Dace in a way. So it's kind of like that. So tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Bo creates on the Elberton Star, Dawn of the Dog, Sideline Report, and all right here on Georgia at the Voice College Football, and the magic that Matt Green brings on Georgia at the Voice College Football and his appearances on the Chase Thomas podcast. And then we get to Travion as he's got some magic coming your way. Where are you cooking up this week, good buddy?
Other than watching these conference championship games and things of that nature, really just preparing myself for this post game show we got going on after the game, coming live after the SEC championship game. Also, really just really just diving myself into these matchups and seeing any small little wrinkles, some things to look out for on Saturday. But I don't really have much, you know.
Oh, there we go, man. So check out the magic that Travion is creating on TWare1K on /Twitter. And let's get him over to Instagram. I tell you what, because he'll bring some magic over there. And you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979 on where I have my show, The Jacksonian, and I've unveiled a new logo on my personal channel. Plus, later tonight, I will be on SEC Live 17 with Andrew Miller and Tucker Harley discussing the recap of signing day, Will Stein to Kentucky, the preview of the SEC title game on SEC The Voice College Football. And for more updates, what I've got going on the SEC channel, Alabama at the Voice College Football, the Jacksonian, once, twice a week appearances on Locked On West Virginia, Mountaineer Paul, and on the Paul Feinbaum Show, once, twice a week. Check me out on Jats BOCFB on /Twitter and on Instagram. There's JatsJots5433908. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification down below so you never miss no video whatsoever. And Jeffrey and I will be seeing you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, as we take your calls, discussing final takes on the SEC title game and signing day. And Travion, Jeffrey, and I will be seeing you after the game. And roll Tide.
Go Dogs.
Knew that was coming.
Got the last word in.